Hi, I'm Walter. I'm the Dutch mentor, and welcome to our course, the Pure Leadership Power Course. It will be a great opportunity for you to learn about yourself, on how to be responsible as a leader, how to motivate with fierce resolve, how to get projects across the finish line, and of course, how to become a real, genuine partner to those who you work with and for. The purpose of the workshop today is to strengthen your personal leadership power and influence. So it leads to that you can lead with equal to your privilege. It's a fact that most leaders lead far beneath what is possible. Just think about that for a second. But if you are fully empowered and enabled, and have your power of authority shifted to you, or if you have shifted that to your folks, you can unleash their greatest potentials, right? So learn how to strengthen real leadership power to lead more equal to what is possible by developing the four key attributes: being comfortably humble, being responsible, being motivating with fierce resolve, and being a genuine partner as presented in this module. Now, there's nothing I can do overnight to make you a leader that can lead with confident humility. So it requires time and dedication on your part to really take this information in, absorb it, process it, and take it to a whole different level. Now, I talk a lot about habits and behaviors. This will require you to change habits and behaviors. Now, we have all gone to webinars and seminars and TED Talks and YouTube clips. And of course, we have learned. Just think about how much we have forgotten because we didn't implement it. We didn't go over it on a daily basis to make sure it became something of who we are, a part of our new normal. So to be able to lead at what is possible, to be able to lead people, we have to make sure that we make a commitment as emerging leaders, somebody who is a high performer, high potential, currently supervisor, manager, director, VP, or executive suite. It doesn't really make a difference. We have to make two commitments. One, that we're on a continuous path of learning. And if we want to do something for a sustainable basis, we have to make this deep commitment to do it every single day and hold ourselves accountable to that until we create new normals. So the desirable outcomes of this coursework is to increase your leadership power and influence. And power is not by being overbearing and telling people what to do. Right? Power is about having that deep understanding of the four key attributes I'll talk about more in the slides to come. Right? Learn how to lead fully committed and self-directed people. You know, Jim Collins said it best, is to hire the right people in the right roles. You're almost better off going without filling a role than having the wrong person in that role. Now, we all know, if we take an honest look at our teams, not all of our folks are fully committed and self-directed. Some of it is because they don't feel motivated, and others because we have not shifted the power of authority to them to unleash their inner self. So there's work to be done on all of our parts. So the foundation, the cornerstones of the program is based in learning how to be a confident, humble leader. And that starts by looking inward to yourself while learning to be an outward leader. Now, I refer to it as a servant leader. You can talk about a situational leader. You can talk about a 360 leader. But somebody who is aware, somebody who's in tune, somebody who has an emotional intelligence that is meaningful, and somebody who is willing to continuously work on self. During that, being responsible as a leader, being 100 over 0, 100% accountable, and not making any excuses in the process. Learning how to truly love your people. Right, that filial brotherly love. How to motivate with fierce resolve, not by telling people, but by suggesting and asking and escalating as necessary to get the actions you are looking for. And then leads is learning to separate and understand the difference between a kumbaya relationship and a genuine partnership where 1+1 truly is 3. So this is kind of the high-level introduction of the program. I hope that you are equally as excited as I am. You will walk away from these modules a new person with a deep understanding of what it takes to unleash your inner power, to be the absolute best possible leader, somebody who's admired, somebody who others will follow. Your opportunity to motivate, to flourish and nourish the next leaders in your succession plan. It's really about togetherness. So let's dive into the first pillar. The first pillar is being confidently humble. Now, as you see this beautiful horse on the screen, you'll hear me refer to horses throughout the program itself. Sometimes we say that, dogs and horses are best man's friend. But interesting enough with horses is that they are herd and prey animals. They are always looking for a natural leader in a pack. And they have a keen ability to assess somebody in front of them to feel if they can trust this person. It starts with a horse's handshake by just letting them sniff your hand. But during that process itself, the horse can feel if you come on too strong, as arrogant and egocentric, they will reject you. If you come on with conditional confidence, they're not fully committed. If you self-imposed insecurities, that you have nervousness or fear, they will sense it. But if you approach it the right way, if you approach a horse the right way with confident humility, they will serve you. So I'll make these references throughout the program itself. But I really want you to think about that, on how that plays out in your workplace and how you are situated. So in the syllabus that I have provided to you, there's graded detail to the information that I will be sharing. But even more importantly, there's an opportunity for you to refer back to it often. So keep it close by. Right, I provided to you in PDF format, so you can have it on your mobile device, or you can print it out and have it in a paper copy sitting on your desk. But as you go through the program itself, as you start experiencing different types of situations, think back, how can I handle this best? How can I set the team up for success? How can I set the team up for performance? So the 3 essential attributes of a highly effective leader. It starts with character. It starts with who you are as a leader. Right? What are the values and integrity standpoint from which you lead? Now, interesting enough, you have to think about that. We are likely coming from all different parts of this earth, listening to this leadership power, this pure leadership power module. We all come from vast different backgrounds. We have deep cultural habits and behaviors. We've had lifetime experiences because of what we have done, the paths that we have traveled. Out of that, we have taken actions that have provided us results. It also helped build our character. So we have to make an assessment, right? Are we true to these characteristics? Right? Are we true to these values that we are stating? Are we truly living them? Or do we need to make adjustments to that? Emotional intelligence, I compare to a muscle. We are born with an IQ that certainly can be optimized depending on the exposure. It's kind of a fixed number. It has somewhat of a predictability to it of potential outcome. On the other hand, EQ isn't like a muscle. It's something that you can need to strengthen over time. And depending on your exposure in your lifetime up to this point in time, your EQ can differ greatly. Your level of sensitivity to people can greatly differ. So I would recommend that you go online to Google it and do an EQ assessment for yourself and see where you fall on the scale. And make a commitment to yourself that you will continue to grow this muscle and, more importantly, maintain this muscle. Because we all know if we go to the gym and we build that muscle and we leave it alone for the next 6 months, it will weaken over time. So it's really important from a standpoint of maintaining a high level of EQ. Again, it's one of the key essential attributes of a highly effective leader, right? You have to have the ability to connect to others. We are in a relationship-based environment, especially as people leaders. In order to get things done, it has to go through people, not just things. And then support that with your competence. I remember as a young man, I was in my mid-30s, early 40s. I was always, sitting around the table with people in their late 50s and 60s. I was convinced that if you just gave me the keys to your office, I could take over and do it even better. But I learned over time that as I was, gaining experiences and doing certain things the second, third, fourth time, how much I still had to learn and how much better I got at it. And that is about, building up your skills, knowledge, and abilities. That's the key thing that I'm seeing as a big gap between people who are technically trained. In other words, they come in on the ground floor and they learn how the business works by doing. And because they're high-performing, high potential, they get elevated into a leadership role. But this large gap, this big difference between managing process and leading people from performing a technical skill is humongous. That's where we need to understand and appreciate that competency is a key factor to building trust and relationships with your team. Because competence breeds confidence on your team, which will lead to better performance. So the confident humility definition, therefore, is that we have two areas of focus. We need to be centered as leaders. So we need to have personal strength. We need to have deep character. And we need to have competency while remaining teachable. So think about that, right? Your personal strength and character, is that just a fixed thing in place? Right? And so how we evolve over time as we are exposed to people, as we lead our own organizations or our own teams, albeit one of 3 team members, 50 team members, or several thousand team members, right? The other part of that is seeing beyond self. This is no longer an I game, but a we game. As people leader, we have the greatest responsibility to nurture and set our people up for success. Right? So we need to show great empathy to people and to understand why they do what they do, good, bad, or indifferent. We have to accept responsibility, ultimate accountability, right? The buck stops here. You have that deep feeling, as I did, if anybody on my team made a mistake, I made a mistake. We need to own it. We need to create an environment where people can thrive by talking about failures, indeed creating opportunities. And we need to be outer focused, not about our pride and ego, but rather about the level of appreciation and recognition and ability of others. That's where the true power comes from, to lead with confident humility. So as we continue in the program here, we're going to have some scenarios that you can play out on paper. You can comment online. You can go to the discussion board. You can email me at thedutchmentor@gmail.com with questions or follow-up. Now, our journey starts here. You can go back to the syllabus and take a deeper look at the different facets of leading with confident humility and understanding the difference between leaders such as Colin Powell, who could be a model of leading with confident humility, or Steve Jobs, or Donald Trump, or McLean. Right? There are distinctive differences in these leaders, although each one of them successful in their own right. One led with ego, others were interdependent or dependent on others in order to have success. And others were, fearful, right? They were very insecure as leaders, but still found success. You will likely find, as you go look into the grid itself, that you lead from all four parts to some extent. You just need to identify which parts and score that to understand where the opportunity is for you to continue to grow as a leader. All right, let's go do a scenario and we'll talk more about your journaling activity to really get an understanding of where the opportunity is for you to shift from where you are today to gaining competency and knowledge to lead with confident humility. So the discussion here is, and again, you can do this with several of your team members, or you can do this by yourself, right? It is that Ellie's team released a new product on time, but it failed. I'm sure we can all relate to that to some extent, right? What they say, if you have never failed at anything, you have not tried hard enough. The development cycle was rushed, too large of a scope for the limited time and resources. The updates and status reports were rarely green, and the known defects were dealt with as best as they could with the time and resource restraints. Yet everything seemed to pull together at the end with extra effort and long hours over the weekend. Oh boy, we're seeing some red flags here, right? However, the budget for QA and testing wasn't adequate and didn't expose some critical flaws in the software. Oops. Stakeholders have lost confidence and threatened to further cut back budgets. How will you address this issue with Ellie? Address this situation from the four perspectives of the confident humility model. Now, the same scenario we're going to take into consideration as we go to the other four quadrants of the model of being responsible, to be motivating with fierce resolve, and how to be a genuine partner. There's a lot in this statement, right, in this scenario based, but probably not uncommon to what you have experienced in the workplace, to a larger or to a lesser extent. But is what we do with this information is going to help us become better leaders. Right? On the end of the day, it's not about tearing people down, it's rather about building people up. So your journal activity for this exercise is that what are your true talents and differentiating strengths in regards to the confident humility model? Again, if you go back to your syllabus, we have some examples there for you to consider. 2 is to identify your insecurities and weaknesses regarding the confident humility. So what are your self-imposed insecurities? Fear of public speaking? Fear of failure? Are you an introvert? don't have the skills, knowledge, and abilities, don't have the right support systems around you. Leading with egocentric confidence, like in Steve Jobs, like leading with ego and pride, thinking of self before others, while being highly creative and very high performing. In a sense, he always got the job done and clearly made lots of money in the process. But very few people felt good about the process. Right here, we are talking about making sure that we unleash the power of our teams for you to work at the top of your license and thereby unleashing the fullest potential of growth, safety, quality, cost reduction, transformation, whatever it is that your goals are for your organization or for your team. And then 3, so which strategies will you use to strengthen your confident humility? How, what can you do to learn to like yourself or build confidence or learn how to be situational? You can be an introvert, but you need to know when to be an extrovert. How to deploy strategies to get high, to get greater competence in public speaking. That's by doing it. How can you find out how others feel about you, about your leadership, or your strengths and weaknesses? An assertive feedback loop is a really excellent tool, and I highly recommend it that you not only do it for this exercise, but you also do it several times throughout the year. It's a simple sheet of paper, 3 questions on it, and give it to your boss, to some of your peers and your subordinates, and ask them, what are my strengths? Second question, what are my weaknesses? What are my blind spots? And 3, if you were me, what would you do different and how would you do it? Again, the key part of strategizing and exercising is not to react to everything that is said, but to take it into consideration and get a deeper understanding of self and make adjustments accordingly. Somebody told me a long time ago, he said, Walter, if your hair looks funny, just blow it off. Tell me, who are you to tell me my hair is looking funny? The second person comes up to you and says, Walter, your hair looks funny. You shrug it off. Okay, whatever. But that seed has been planted, right? The second time you're hearing something. If the person comes to me the third time and says, Walter, your hair is funny, there's only one responsibility I have, and that's to go to the nearest bathroom and look in the mirror to fix my hair. So think about that for yourself, how you can be very observant to the things you learn along the way. And if you have validated 2 or 3 times, there's often a lot of truth in it. You can always reach me at thedutchmentor@gmail.com. You can go to my website, thedutchmentor.com, and sign up for a coaching session. If you find that to be useful, I'm here to help you. And again, this is one of our cornerstones of the program. And again, put enough time and effort into this to really get a deeper understanding on who you are and where you lead from. Put yourself into this quadrant, into the 4 quadrants, and understand how you work and how you lead. From there, you can make adjustments to get closer into that area of lead with confident humility. Right? I've been executing this program for probably 12 years now. Not only by teaching it, but actually living it. I've done it. Teams of 60, 100, last team was 2,200 with 85 directors and supervisors and managers. It really works. And there's no such thing as being perfect at this. It's about being open and teachable. Continue to work on your skills, knowledge, and abilities. So from deep personal experience, I can tell you that if you go through this process of self-discovery, you'll reap the benefit. Not to feed your ego and pride, but to be able to help others. And by helping others, by shifting to the authority, by giving them the empowerment and support, they will raise performance. They will improve the outcomes. And by cause and effect, you will become a better leader, better, more recognized, and likely have the opportunity to continue to climb the career ladder. This is the end of this first module. Thank you. And again, if you have any questions, please reach out to me.